All right, quiet on the set. Hi, it's Ray from Proshaper Workshop. We're doing another shrinking disc video. We got the Jaguar E-type nose lower chin panel. Because these are so low and there's curbs and everything, these get beat up really bad. And this was the front nose section that we were copying in the aluminum. Mark has taken all the paint off, and then we dipped it in Rust 911, and you can purchase that at our Amazon store, which is right in our videos right below. You just click the link and it brings you to our Amazon store. We made a tank and immersed it, and the good features of that Rust 911 is that it goes in all of the tubes and everything else. There's a closed tube inside these structures, and the rust can still be in there if you sandblast it. I'm a very strong anti-sandblaster. I hate sandblasting on body panels, and even worse on after they sandblast it, they use an epoxy primer. And if you're doing metal work and you have the epoxy primer on there, it's a nightmare. You have to sand it all off before you can even do anything. That Rust 911 will leave a little protection on the panel so that it won't humidity rust. It'll stay pretty clean for a while. And if you do get a little humidity rust, you just use a little phosphoric acid, which you can get at Home Depot. It's very inexpensive. You spray it on, wipe it off, dry it good, no problem. So here's the panel, and we've got a bunch of dents in it. We'll do an analysis on the surface, and if I was doing this to finish this panel all at once, what I would do is break it down into sections. I have this center section here, and then I got these two wings on the other side here, and it's got pretty good access. And if you're going to work on a panel like this, my preferred method is to straddle two benches. Now you've got really good access underneath, which you can put your dolly under there, and the panel will tend to jump around. So I have a lot of beater bags in the shop. People think that beater bags are only for beating sheet metal on. They come in actually more utility with a beater bag, just using it as a weight to hold your panels. So I've got 4 beater bags on here. I've circled some of the bad dents, but what I'm going to do first is just magic marker this whole thing. I prefer these big wide magic markers. You can get them at Home Depot. I think that's the best price around. And I prefer this over the Dykem spray because the Dykem spray kind of gums up on the shrinking disc. I'm going to use the shrinking disc. So let's mark this up. It'll take a few minutes. You don't have to be perfect here. And I'm just using this as an indicator to find out where this panel is and how bad it is. Alright, we got it all marked up with the magic marker, and now we're going to rub the disc on it. So, oh, look who's here. It's Frank.
Hey, Ray. Just wishing you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Frank.
And all those metalheads out there in Metal Land. What are you doing here, Ray?
We're trying to take the dents out. So you're interrupting the video, but that's alright. This is super volunteer Frank.
You colored it first?
Yeah, black magic marker.
Why'd you color it that way?
I could have went this way, but in first grade I like to go up and down rather than side to side.
But, to everybody out there, Ray and I always go through this every day. And every day I show up for him like Christmas party. So, anyways, everyone have a good holiday.
Okay.
Ray, good luck getting this straightened out. We'll catch you guys later.
Have a good Christmas dinner. Bye, Frank. All right, Frank has left, and now it's time to pull the shrinking disc out. This is the 9-inch shrinking disc. We make these. They're available on our website, proshaper.com. But before we do it, let me just show you the proper way to mount it. So we'll take this apart. I get a lot of emails and calls, people asking, you know, how do you mount the disc properly? Well, this is an essential ingredient here. This is a necked and flange nut. It's a 5/8 11. If you're in a metric country, oftentimes they don't have the 5/8 11 thread or spindle thread on the grinders. So they do have an adapter that'll adapt the metric to the American English Standard 5/8 11. So first step is when it's all mounted, you want this to be down in the depression, and you don't want the spindle protruding out high here, because you're going to run this flat, and if the spindle is up, it's going to scratch and dig in and everything. So if that's a problem, no matter how you mount it, you just put washers on it, 5/8 washers, and that'll change your position. This is an essential ingredient. I call this the central hub support. This one I modified by welding a little ring onto it and turning it to make it a little deeper. I don't make these, and I've been meaning to make them for a long time. I think I might start making them because everybody says, well, where do you get these? These usually come when you buy the grinder. This came from Makita when I bought this grinder, and this isn't too old. It's only a couple years old or so. But I found that it worked a little better if I machined it accurately, and I put this little collar on there. So that goes on like that. Then this is the backing pad. We make the backing pads and sell them when you buy the shrinking disc. It's a really good idea to get a good backing pad. And that now creates the support system for the shrinking disc. So then the shrinking disc goes on, and you tighten that up. There's a bug on the thread or something here. What's going on? Here we go. There we go. Most grinders have a lock. And you just hand tighten it. It self-tightens when you use it anyways. So now, when you run these, and this disc has been around probably 2 years or more in the shop. See, they'll run out a little bit like this. Not to worry about it, because if it was a brand new disc, it generally will run a little cleaner. But that could be still a fault here in the flange causing that to do that. It's not necessarily the disc doing it, but it doesn't mean anything, because once you rub it against the, well, you can't rub it on that, but you rub it on the disc, on the panel. When you rub it on the panel, it smooths it all right out, and now you have a load on it. These grinders typically run 4,500 to 6,000 RPM. You can't use a buffer polisher or sander polisher. They don't have enough RPM. You need the RPM in order to create the heat. The secret here is heat, and also the fact that you've got a nice flat surface and you're rotating it. It will highlight all the highs and lows. So that's why I put this marker on here, to find out what that surface looks like. Like I said, I broke this panel into 3 sections. This wing, and the center. And that's how I would finish the panel out. And I neglected to mention this lips of the opening here. That would be another feature that I'd put a lot of tension into. So let's just rub the disc on here and see what kind of surface we have. So now all of the faults or flaws in the panel are now clearly visible, because the disc wipes off the marker where the highs are, and it can't reach the lows, so all the lows are clearly defined, all the highs, or actually good surface, is defined because the disc will hit that marker and kind of scratch it off a little bit. Now, the marker acts as both an indicator of the highs and lows, but it also acts as a lubricant. And without the marker, if you use right on the steel itself, once in a while you're going to see sparks flying. If you see sparks flying, you should stop right away, because that's not a good thing at all. And what that is you've galled the panel. Material from the panel has attached itself to the disc, and it's galled on there, and then it just keeps scratching everything, and it makes more sparks and makes a big disaster. So this acts as a lubricant. If you have too much marker on, you won't get the heat buildup that you want. So there was very little heat buildup. This is probably only 140 degrees or so, sort of like sitting your car out on a hot summer day in the parking lot. It's not enough to really do the job. You want to be able to get to like 200 and 250 degrees at minimum. And as long as you get steam, which is 212, then you've done the job. If you see steam, you're in good shape. So what we've done is we've got the bad spots all indicated here, and there's quite a few of them. So, well, that marker's not working that well. Let me get another marker. Let's see, I got one right here. All right, so I'm taking this blue marker and just kind of identifying all these spots that didn't get marked up by the shrinking disc. So you can see this thing is a horror show. It's got little flaws everywhere. So you take your time and you pick them out one by one here. Find where they are, circle them, and then your goal is to correct them one by one. So you have basically three conditions: good surface, surfaces that are down, and then surfaces that are high. The surfaces that are high we want to bring down with the good surface level, and the surfaces that are low we want to bring up to the good surface. So we've got to pick these off one at a time and fix them. So this is a lot of work. This panel, just fixing this one section could take a couple, 3 hours or so to get this perfect, and then it could be another couple, 3 hours on either side over here, and then maybe another hour here. So the video, we don't have that much time. I'm just going to show a few little sections here. We'll fix them up, show the procedure again. I do have a video on shrinking on in my YouTube library, but I think this one will add a few more features and be worthy to watch it. Alright, so we're going to pick off these spots. We'll do 2 or 3 of them in this video. We don't have to do them all, as I mentioned. So let's make this our first goal here. If Mark can get a close-up of it, we're going to aim right for this. Now, we can do dolly, no contact with the dolly initially, because we'll be hitting here, which is at a different level than the center of where that depression is. So this straddles it, and the slapper straddles it, and it's so much better than a hammer, because the hammer is actually hitting right in the center of where that low spot is, whereas this straddles the whole thing. And we got a nice little universal soap bar dolly here, and it has a nice little compound on the top here. And we're basically going to, this is the fulcrum, this is the lever. So we're levering these little depressions out. And as we hit, we can see the little footprints really well, so we know we're on target. I don't know, can you see those, Mark? Is that showing up in the camera? Okay, good. So you can walk yourself right around really nicely. And that came up. Now, if you come up too much, that's what the shrinking disc is for. You can err on the side of being a little too much very easily, and that shrinking disc will just level that like nothing. Now the shrinking dish, you gotta remember, is not a cure-all. If you've got a panel that's like a really bad road that's all rutted and everything, that's not going to do it. You've seen me use the torch. You're going to torch shrink and straighten it out as best you can first and get that really, really bad stuff out with the torch. The shrinking disc is for the finessing. I use a shrinking disc for anything that's a 1/16 of an inch too high or too low, and anything over that is the torch. So some people prefer the torch, but I don't think you can do as good a job with a torch as you can with a shrinking disc. The shrinking disc is a really subtle, really great smoothing tool. They will make glass smooth finishes on your surfaces. So that one came out pretty quick. Well, let's try this one. Same process. And you can walk that dolly around easily. And then we got a little small light one here. And then we got one over here. We got one here. We'll go over to here. The real important thing is being comfortable too. I've got this nice adjustable chair, adjustable height chair. I can get in here. I got full access. Alright, so I did a lot of that center side. Let me get this other one. Oh, we've got one over here too. We'll get those. Okay. All right, that's that. I didn't get them all, but I got a lot of them in the middle here. We'll quickly mark this up again. And we'll hit it with the disc. So we saw a little bit of steam there. We had a few little high spots. And that's feeling a lot better already. Get that all cooled down. You can't do a good analysis of the surface until you get it right at room temperature because it's still swelled a little bit from the heat. We'll do something a little different now. Instead of using the magic marker, we'll take the little 2-inch orbital. Make sure that's nice and dry. We still got a considerable little dent there missed. And now we have a condition of similar to the magic marker. It's the little scratches of the orbits. There's the 80 grit sandpaper. Now we're going to take a sanding block and sand across there, and that'll highlight all those lows. I had a couple sanding blocks I use. This is a little 6-inch Baltic birch, really flat plywood. I put stick-it paper on. And then this is a piece of aluminum. I got a piece of, I think, 120 stick-it. I believe that's 150 stick-it. So let's try this. And we'll just move it back and forth. And that should highlight it pretty good. Now the sanding with the orbital actually leaves the surface a little textured, and you can actually feel it better because of the texture. And you can see it's pretty rough. We've got a lot to do here. But this is the procedure. How good you get it, it's up to you, because you can take, like I said, a couple hours at least to take all this dents out here. So let's take and just rub a hand on here now. So we've got a low here. We can mark those lows again. We've got a good low spot there. We have that really bad one over here. So there's a few. That'll keep us entertained for a while. So we'll get the slapper again, get my chair, and we'll slap a couple of those. We'll go through this cycle and see where we're at. I don't want to make the video too long, but the whole purpose is to show the procedure and also to show the mounting. Well, let me interject here right now. Here's the 5-inch disc that we make. This comes in really handy on really tight spots. You're not going to use it as much as the 9. I much prefer the 9, but the 5 comes in very handy. Now, we don't make a backing pad for the 5-inch because I found that I can buy these Harbor Freight plastic ones, and I generally don't like plastic backing pads. You should inspect it to make sure it doesn't crack or anything, but I've had really good luck with these, and I think they sell them for under $5, sometimes like $3.95. There's a brand new one with their packaging, and it comes with the nut. Now their nut is a white metal nut, and I really don't trust that white metal nut on the big disc, but it seems to work fine on this. So the nuts sometimes are hard to get. That might be another item that we should be making, is the central hub support for the 9-inch and the nut, which would also work on this too. But people always ask me, where do you get the backing pad for the 5-inch? And Harbor Freight makes a really nice one. It's an inexpensive one. Now, the condition is low and then high, low and then high. So you've got basically like a wave condition. So we have to undo that wave, and that might leave a condition where the panel is up a little bit. But the shrinking disc, just rubbing on it a little bit, will bring it all down nice and level. So now we just pounded those up a little bit. Let's take and rub that rubbing block on there, the sanding block, and see if those areas came up a little bit. Alright, so you can see that came up there, but not so much over here. A few spots where the slapper and the dolly hit together, but let's bring bring it up a little bit more. Now, if you hit it lightly like that and nothing's happening, then go ahead, increase the amount of hit. So you just hit it a little harder. And we hit that. Let's see if that came up. Okay, now you can see those shiny spots starting to appear. All the impact points are showing good. We got a little canyon in here, low spot. The important factor is I have either using the magic marker as the highlighter, and sometimes I actually prefer the little orbital sander. But to see it really good, you need a light behind you. So if you've got the light behind you, it shows up so much better. So let's just focus the attention on those two little spots. The rest are going to be the same procedure, but you've watched those come up as I hit them with the dolly and the slapper. So now let's, we don't want to hit it with the shrinking disc in those spots without some lubricant there. So we'll put the magic marker on, and then we'll sand it again, and then sand it with the orbital sander, then sand it with the sanding block, and see what kind of progress we made here. So I'm putting the marker on as a lubricant, and I'm going to bring the disc onto it until it gets hot enough so it gets steam. There's a little bit of steam there. Cool that down. Oh, and that's feeling a lot better. There was a ridge in there before. What generally happens is when you get a dent going in and a dent going in here, it causes a ridge to form, which feels like a high spot, which it sort of is. It's sort of been manipulated up by the lows, which were punched into it. And these E-types really take a lot of abuse on this little chin panel because they're so low. This one's actually a pretty good one. There's a little bit of rust over in the corner here. I'll have to replace some of the metal, but the rest of it's pretty good. And we dipped it so nice that all the rust internally and all the little cage nuts that are on the other side and everything are all cleaned out really thoroughly. And that wouldn't happen if you sandblasted. I'm really on an anti-sandblast kick. I used to sandblast at my grandfather's restoration shop when I was just a kid, and I know how much damage sandblasting can cause. So refrain from sandblasting. Paint remover and chemical rust remover, that's the way to go. I just lost my sandblasting audience. People that are professional sandblasters are not watching me now, I'm sure. It's funny when you have strong statements on anything, you lose half your audience. You got to be really mellow in today's world. So what will happen here is you want to achieve perfection. You're going to go through many cycles. It could be 4 or 5 cycles before we're done here, where when I sand that with that sanding block, you're going to see nothing but nice smooth surfaces because you're going to get full contact. You can see right now, this is shown up here. There's like a little low spot there, and there's a multitude of little spots now. We'll chase them one more time and then we'll call this video finished. So the object is for you to get the procedure down. And every time you cycle through here, this panel gets smoother and smoother. You know, it's almost crazy now. A good fill prime would do that. It's a little bit low right here, but a fill prime and blocking would smooth that out beautifully. But there is a nice sense of satisfaction taking a panel that's all beat up and then smoothing it nice. And then you know you don't have to frost it with Bondo. Anybody can put Bondo on, not everybody can smooth a panel out. I have done a lot of Bondo work in my life. I never want to do Bondo work again. I lost all the Bondo audience now. That's feeling a lot nicer. We'll give it a little more magic marker. Hit it with the disc again. Even the disc of the magic marker flows over it nicer now because it's a nice smooth surface. You might have saw a spark right here. There's a little lip that's high, and I hit it with the disc and it caused a little spark, abrasion spark. So let's hit that with the soapy water. What kind of soap? Just I use Palmolive or any kitchen dishwashing, the heavy concentrated dishwashing soap. As I'm rubbing my hand with the soapy water on it, this is smoothly sliding right over it, really nice. There's a few semi-perceptible right here. There seems to be a little ridge right here. I might have to hit it with the disc a little harder. But that's actually pretty nice now. But there'll be flaws there. You'll never get it absolutely perfect, but you can get it so that you just have to use the little bit of fill prime, block it, and the thing will be as good as factory. Even stuff from the factory is pretty flawed. If you took a brand new car off the line and subjected it to the same type of sanding block, you're going to find flaws in it. So now we hit it with the sander again. You can hear that sliding across now. You're getting a nice swishing sound. It's just smoothly swishing over it. It'll still show some lows and some highs, but they're more and more subtle now. So that was the little bit of a ridge there. That'll have to probably be shrunk down, or it might get absorbed once I pound the surrounding area up a little bit. And now we've got a situation where I can barely perceive any low here, but it's showing a low here, here, and here. And we've got that high right here. But it's feeling really nice. I think the video has done its job. So I hope you can fully understand how that shrinking disc works and how it mounts. And don't forget, you can get them at www.proshaper.com. Appreciate it. We've been making them for 20 years. We sell them all over the world. We call them the smooth and safe style shrinking disc, made out of stainless steel. We make them out of thicker stainless than some of the other people that have copied my design. So thank you for watching. It's Ray from Proshaper. Merry Christmas.